Kia ora koutou, Markie here with day 25. Before we get into the business of day 25, I have an announcement for the winner of the little competition that I set. I'm not sure which episode it was, but I did one on humour, and I invited you all to come up with the best. How many RJ sufferers does it take to change a light bulb? Vanessa Hayes came up with what I thought was a brilliant answer, which was, well, it only takes one, but they'll spend all their time thinking about who it was that was screwing the light bulb in before. I like that one. So thank you for that. Appreciate that one. So today I want to talk about relaxation. Okay, because we talked a little bit about meditation, and I said, sorry, shaky camera because I'm standing to do this. I said that meditation and relaxation are two very different things. Okay, and I didn't expand upon that a lot, but I want to say a bit more about that now. Really, so meditation can take you into relaxed states, and it often does, but that's not the purpose of meditation. Meditation can also take you into all kinds of different states, because basically it takes you to where you already are. It takes you a bit deeper, it takes you below the surface. So I've had experiences where I've taught meditation, and somebody said, oh, this is giving me a headache, and I said, you know, it hasn't given them a headache, they had a headache already, but they were so focused on surface level things that they didn't notice they had a headache. Okay, so that's what it does. It takes you deeper, takes you into yourself, takes you into what's really going on, which is why one of the things that, you know, that some kind of fundamental religious people say, that, you know, when you meditate, you kind of, if you like, you leave yourself vacant, you leave your body vacant, and something else can take over, because you're in another state, and you're not there. You know, you're vacant, you're absent in some way. Whereas actually, when you meditate, you're not vacant or absent. You're more present. Mindfulness is mindfulness, not mind emptiness. So actually, we become more in our bodies, more in the present moment, more present. So yeah, so that's meditation. Okay, relaxation is a different kettle of fish, because relaxation is anything that you do, any kind of exercise that you do to relax. Okay, body and mind. Okay, so the goal of relaxation is to relax. Again, it might sound obvious, but I just want to say that to make the distinction between the goal of meditation is not to relax. The goal of meditation is to allow yourself to experience a different way of being, which ultimately makes you more present. Okay, the goal of relaxation is to relax. Not necessarily to go to sleep, although, you know, you can use relaxation, like, you know, relaxation CDs or relaxation techniques. You can use them to go to sleep, but what's really good is to use them in a way so that you can experience relaxation while awake. Okay, because that kind of does something different for you. Because we all sleep, even if it might not be great or for a lot of time. So we all get sleep. What we want to do generally with relaxation is to get something else, get something new. So why am I talking about relaxation, and why is relaxation important? And I didn't want to give the impression when I was talking about meditation that relaxation was, you know, relaxation exercise was somehow kind of like, you know, the poor cousins of meditation, in any way kind of second rate, because relaxation is really important. Okay, so the reason relaxation is important is that retroactive jealousy is a form of obsessive compulsive disorder, or that's what we think, and obsessive compulsive disorder is an anxiety disorder. So anxiety is the gasoline or the petrol, depending on which side of the pond or the ditch you are, which fuels OCD. So the more we can get that down, the better. Now, what I want to talk about is something called background anxiety. Okay, so we all get anxious situationally, and often that's a good thing. Okay, and that's why we have anxiety and fear. They're useful emotions designed to keep us safe. So a saber-toothed tiger comes along, we feel anxious. What anxiety does? So anxiety is a feeling. So the saber-toothed tiger is an event, an external stimulus. Then we get the thought that we associate that saber-toothed tiger with danger, although you might associate saber-toothed tiger with, well, that's really odd because they're supposed to be extinct. But you get what I mean. I like using the saber-toothed tiger analogy for some reason. So the thought is danger. If you're an alien, if you'd come from the planet Oogly Googly and you've never seen a saber-toothed tiger before, you might not have that thought that you associate it with danger. You might think, oh, isn't that beautiful? I want to give it a cuddle. Okay, but the thought, danger, and then the feeling is anxiety, and then that stimulates a whole load of physical, physiological, biological stuff, which is all about keeping us safe. So that's why we sweat, we shake, skin can either become more flushed or more pale depending on what's going on. The digestion stops working properly because one of the defense mechanisms of a lot of creatures when they're in danger is they shit themselves, because A, you don't need to be worrying about digestion when you're in a survival situation, and B, if you shit yourself, it might put the enemy off, or the predator off. They might go or it might distract them. So all these things are kind of survival mechanisms built into us. What we call this is arousal. So not sexual arousal. The sexual arousal has some of these similar feelings, and excitement is very similar to anxiety as well. Excitement probably comes from hunting, where we needed to kind of trigger all the kind of fight and flight type reflexes, but in an active and positive way, in a way that made us think, yes, you've got to go out and hunt. So, okay, why am I babbling on about all this kind of stuff? Well, okay, so anxiety, the anxiety mechanisms within us as human beings are designed for survival situations, like saber-toothed tigers or enemy tribes attacking, and they're designed to kind of rear us up for physical action, which is either running away or fighting. There's a third one as well, which is freezing, which is important when it comes to stuff like trauma and that kind of thing, but we won't get into that today, although it's really interesting. So, okay, so anxiety is designed to, we're not supposed to be anxious, okay? We're supposed to kind of be chilled, and then when danger comes along, saber-toothed tiger, anxiety peaks, goes up, and then you kill the saber-toothed tiger, or the saber-toothed tiger goes away, your anxiety goes right down again. Does that sound realistic? Well, yes, look at your pet dog, because your pet dog will be like that unless it's had a traumatic history. Because dogs, when they're chilled, they're really chilled. Knock comes on the door, somebody comes in, it's the person that takes the dogs for walks. Dog's very happy, lick, 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 goes back to sleep, relaxed again. Okay, so they go from 0 to 70 and then back down to 0 again. Okay, now as human beings living in the modern world, our threats are not saber-toothed tigers. Sometimes we get acute threats, and more likely kind of like, being on threat, fear of a noise at night, or walking home at night and thinking that you might be followed. They're kind of the closest regular kind of occurrences that we get to kind of the primeval kind of dangers and fears. But what about worries about money? What about worries about, am I going to get this report for work written on time? Am I going to get this video made in time for when I want to release it later? What about, what else? Health worries. What other things do we worry about? Worrying about, general well-being of our family. Existential worries. Worries like, what's happening with this, is this the beginning of the end of the world? All these kind of things. They're not acute. Acute meaning sharp. An acute angle is a sharp angle like that. They're not acute worries. They're long-term background worries. So what happens is, instead of our anxiety level being on a 0, our anxiety level on if you imagine like a flat baseline, is on 4, 5, 10, 20, whatever it might be. So we're running with part of our nervous system already in the anxiety mode all the time. Okay, all the time. When our lives aren't in immediate danger, but we're running on a general background level of anxiety. Now, that's pretty terrifying, because that will shorten our lives. That will reduce the effectiveness of our digestion, because digestion shuts off when we're anxious. It will mean that our immunity is not so good. It will mean all kinds of things. It'll mean our RJ is really bad. Okay, because you've got that background anxiety going on all the time, and sometimes it's such a free-floating anxiety. It's kind of more unconscious than it is conscious, so we kind of forget what it is. So we can attach things to it because we're feeling anxious anyway. So then you start to think about something, and that anxiety is kind of like it's like candy floss or whatever. It will just stick. Maybe there's a better analogy. What's stuff that sticks? I don't know, something sticky that will attach itself to anything that happens to come along. So that's one theory of why we get phobias and why we get hang-ups and why we get stuff like that, because we've got this kind of background anxiety that's just there waiting for a reason to justify its existence. So if we can get this background anxiety, so think about this. Think about your level of background anxiety. What is it like? Maybe you are on an alt. If you've got RJ, it won't be, because you're going to be constantly anxious. Okay, so what is it? On a graph. Let's say 100 is as high as you could imagine it being. That's real kind of about to fall off a cliff type stuff. 0 is completely chilled. Okay, so where do you think your background anxiety level is? Okay, just think about that and come up with an answer. Scribble that down on a bit of paper, where you think that is. Now, wouldn't it be good if you could get that background level of anxiety down? Okay, even if it was just by an incy, squincy, mincy, tinsy little bit. Okay, even if you got it down by 1, even if you got it down by half, that is going to improve your chances of recovery from retroactive jealousy. Now, the other thing I've talked about in other videos is, and there's a link to a video below where I go into this in more detail, but I just kind of really just to introduce that video. The analogy that I use is if you sprain or twist a joint, it's like your knee or your ankle, and then it swells up and it's kind of throbbing, boom, 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 it's bright red, it's boiling hot, and then you go and see a chiropractor or an osteopath. They're not going to start manipulating that joint to heal what's going on underneath. They'll wait until the inflammation's gone down. They'll give you tips to get the inflammation down. Then they'll look at what's going on with that joint. So this is what we need to do with retroactive jealousy. Okay, we need to get that arousal, not sexual arousal, general arousal, anxious arousal down, reduce that general overall background anxiety. That will then reduce our peaks of anxiety. So when we get triggered by RJ, if our starting point for anxiety is 10 and we get a peak that's worth 30, then we're going up to 40. Okay, if our anxiety level is 0, our background anxiety is 0, and we get an anxiety spike of 30, it goes up to 30. So already, that's a big difference in the anxiety spike. So you're going to reduce the anxiety spikes and you're going to reduce that background anxiety. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, we do that through biofeedback, which a fancy schmancy term for relaxation techniques. Okay, so basically the body forms the habit. So what happens is, so you get the stimulus, you get the thought, you get the feeling, and you get the physiological responses, the stuff that's going on in your body, your heart beating fast, all that kind of thing. Okay, and they're like a little cycle, one informs the other. Okay, now if you break the cycle, so it's like with RJ stuff, you break the cycle by not asking the questions, you break the cycle by interrupting the thought processes. So what this does, it does not so much breaking the cycle, it's actually literally reversing the cycle. So what you do is, so when we're anxious, we breathe shallowly. So if we learn deep breathing, and I've done a video, did I do a video on deep breathing techniques? I think I may have done. If I've done one, I'll link it below. So if we start to breathe more deeply, that's the kind of breathing that the body does when we're relaxed. If you breathe deeply, deliberately, breathe more deeply than you normally would, then that actually tricks the body. That's what we call it biofeedback, because the body kind of like notices itself breathing more deeply, and it, on some level, it kind of thinks, oh, we must be relaxed, and then it reduces all the anxiety responses and switches them off, and stimulates the relaxation responses. So anything that makes you more relaxed and breaks habits of anxiety is going to reduce that background anxiety. So for example, like having a massage. So having a massage, some people think, well, I felt great, it feels great at the time, but is that going to give me a lasting benefit? Yes, it is, because it's gonna shake those muscles out of the patterns of tension that they were holding. And when the body notices that the muscles are behaving in a different way, they're not holding that tension, then it stimulates further relaxation. Now, obviously, the benefits of a massage wear off, and you need to go back. But actually, there is also a cumulative benefit, and there is to a degree a lasting benefit as well. So even one massage will take you a long way. Okay. So that's why, relaxation techniques. So relaxation techniques, there's lots of different ways of doing it. Okay, one of the most common ones is progressive relaxation. So you usually starting at your feet and you hold tension in muscles in your feet, then you let that go. And you can imagine things like your feet becoming warm, the muscles becoming loose and limp, things becoming heavier, and you can take that right the way through your body. So you go right up into your torso, down both of your arms, and your back of your neck, back of your head, scalp, facial muscles, all that kind of thing. And you don't need to kind of do this for yourself. There's loads of stuff, on YouTube, for example, free relaxation sessions and techniques that just talk you through that. I mean, I've done a lot of that with people, and a lot of talking people through relaxation. Being a hypnotherapist kind of helps because there's a few. Although relaxation isn't the same as hypnotherapy, there's a lot of crossover. So there's a lot of things that are useful in hypnosis and knowing hypnosis that can help with helping people with relaxation techniques. But there's also something called yoga nidra, which is an ancient one. Really, this goes back to ancient times. Something called yoga nidra, which is effectively a form of relaxation. Which is also a form of yoga. And Gwendoline is, because she's a yoga teacher, she teaches Ashtanga yoga. She is, just for you lovely people, has put together a video of Ashtanga, or not Ashtanga, but for yoga nidra, for people with retroactive jealousy. So it's a new resource. So I mean, there's other stuff like Zachary Stocker, he's done a relaxation for RJ. There's a hypnotherapy session for RJ on the Patreon channel. But this is something different again. Okay, so if you want to experience yoga nidra, if you've never experienced that before, there's a kind of certain magic to it, I think, because there's a certain way of practicing it, and it's been practiced for so long. And I kind of think sometimes these ancient things have a certain power to them that other things don't. If you think of the amount of times that this has been practiced over the centuries, it's got a certain something to it. And what Gwendoline often finds is people respond extremely well to it when she does this. Kind of often has some quite unexpected, powerful results. So I will link that down below. So the exercise today is to do a yoga nidra session with the help of Gwendoline and from the comfort of your own home. I'm also going to stick at least one other video there, which is kind of an informative educational video, which talks a little bit more about the kind of stuff we've covered, but goes into a slightly different angle. And if I have done I think I have done something on breathing. If I have that, I'll put that in the links below as well. So go forth and relax straight away now. And if you don't relax, I want to know why. Enjoy. The more you do this stuff, the more benefit that you get. And if you are holding a lot of background anxiety, then working on your breathing, doing regular things like the yoga nidra, or other relaxation exercises. You can do it yourself. You don't necessarily have to listen to somebody else talking you through it, but it can help have other people talk you through it. Massage is good. Saunas are good. There's all sorts of things that can help. And the more you do them, the more benefit you'll get. But the goal, if you think about the goal, is to get that background anxiety down, and it's like reducing the inflammation on that joint, and then you can start to work on it, and you can start to deal with, once you've got the physical arousal out of the way, you can then start to work on what's behind the RJ. You can start to work on the thoughts, you can start to work on maybe where that comes from, you can start to work on attachment issues and other things, other deeper stuff. But first of all, you've got to get that anxiety down, otherwise it's all going to be really unpleasant, and you're not going to make as much progress as you would if you've got the anxiety down. So yeah, I'm just conscious really as well, this video about relaxation, and it's probably kind of just conscious of how fast that I'm talking. So I kind of haven't set you up very well for relaxation. Really, I should be talking in a slow, relaxed, comforting voice, but I didn't do that really. But maybe we'll do that right at the end of this video, so that you're nice and prepared for the yoga nidra. Rangimarie.